Hi, everybody. Really great to be here tonight. I know we had some technical difficulties, but we all know the show must go on. COVID-19 changed my life, and this is my story. On March 12th, they shut the city down. Every night before that, from that Monday, I had been going to clubs to see various friends of mine perform because as actors, that's what we do. We all support each other. And I noticed the crowds were getting smaller and smaller, and we were hearing about this virus that was coming. Well, we knew it was coming, but nobody ever said what it was, really. And no one ever said that New York was going to get slammed, and I mean slammed like what you cannot even imagine. So there I was, March 12th, they shut the city down, and it suddenly occurred to me that a career that I had spent decades building as a performer went right out the window in less than 5 hours. Every venue shut down, theaters shut down, commercials shut down, possibly anything that I could do, emceeing, stand-up comedy, gone all of a sudden. And I'm thinking, my friends are all really happy. They all had survival jobs. Well, this has only ever been my job. I've only ever earned my living as a performer. So I'm standing in my kitchen with my husband, and I said, what are we going to do? He's a commercial photographer and a cinematographer. And all of a sudden, I'm in the kitchen, and I got inspired, and I looked at him, and I said, you know what? We'll start a cooking show. And he said to me, Wendy, you don't cook. Well, if you know me, I'm not going to let a little thing like cooking stop me. I said, we'll do a cooking show, and we'll shoot it right here in the kitchen. So I went over to my oven, and I took the yellow pages and all the other books that I used for storage in there out because I knew I was going to need an oven. And then the next thing I did is I called up Fresh Direct because they have these meals that come in giant boxes with recipes. So I thought, you know what, this is a cinch. This is going to be easy. So I ordered the meals. And then, of course, being a performer and spending a lot of time in the drag community, well, I knew I needed to have wigs, costumes, lashes, the whole 9 yards, which, of course, my closets have been stocked with. I've been holding on to this stuff for years. All of a sudden, I now have a way of using it. So the food arrives. And the first meal that I cooked was called spatchcock chicken. I had no the hell what a spatchcock chicken was. Little did I know, somebody told me it's when the chicken comes, it's like spread eagle like that. So I guess that's what makes it a spatchcock chicken. But thank God the spatchcock chicken came with directions and all other accoutrements in the box, which included carrots, there were onions in there. There was fennel. Oh, but the piece de resistance were what I thought were potatoes. So I get on camera, my husband's shooting it, and I describe all my ingredients and everything. And these wonderful potatoes that were kind of small and kind of hard. Well, thank God for things like comments when you do a broadcast, because people started saying, Wendy, those aren't potatoes, those are chestnuts. Well, you know what? Chestnuts, potatoes, it's all good at the end of the day, right? Who cares? So I shot my first episode of Pandemic Cooking, and the rest was history, except there was one little thing. COVID got in my way. On the 5th day of shooting, I started running a fever, and I felt like my head was so stuffed up I couldn't breathe out of my nose. And every time I went to smell or taste anything, I couldn't taste it. And my husband started saying everything he was eating tasted like wood. And I thought, you know, the Fresh Direct meals couldn't be that bad, but everything was tasting like wood. And then my daughter said her head was stuffed up and she couldn't breathe. Now, we have been told, like everybody else out there, oh, you have a very tight chest, you'll start coughing, you run a fever, that's COVID. So I called that 800 number that they told all of us to call. And I gave my symptoms, and the person on the other end, the expert on the other end, said to me, no, you don't have COVID. Then I called my doctor and gave him my symptoms, my stuffy head, a headache, a low-grade fever, inability to breathe, and I can't taste or smell anything. No, you don't have COVID. You have a sinus infection. Really, doctor? 3 people in one house have a sinus infection? Oh, yeah, you all have a sinus infection. So he prescribed Zithromax. I had the drugstore deliver it. I took it, my family wouldn't. And I waited about a day and a half. And then I called my husband's doctor, who's very knowledgeable. My husband's older. His doctor is a concierge doctor. He has much better medical care than I did. And I gave my symptoms over the phone. And he said to me, you have the classic, and I repeat, classic COVID symptoms. Oh my God. Well, the show's got to go on. I got Mucinex DM for the congestion. I took Tylenol for the headache and the fever. I slapped on a wig and I went right back out into that kitchen. And let me tell you, I cooked. Before I couldn't cook, I still couldn't cook, and now I couldn't smell or taste. And you know what? That was not going to stop me. There was nothing that was going to stop me, because guess what? I knew that I could shoot every one of those episodes, and that I built my audience up day after day after day, and that people would tune in for this show because it was funny. It wasn't so much about the recipes, but it was funny. It made people feel good. People started texting me and calling me and saying, I look forward to your show every day because I love these episodes. When everything is awful, it makes me feel good. And guess what? It made me feel good too. My status today is grateful. Because of my show, Pandemic Cooking with Wendy, I started to do podcasts, interviews, radio shows all over the country. From the corner of my couch, I have been to Canada, Oklahoma, Texas, upstate New York, places that I have never even been to, including the UK, to not only talk about COVID, but how I created this show. All right. The moral of my story is you can't let something like this stop you, especially if you're a performer. All right. I was not getting unemployment. I didn't have a check being sent to me. I was not working from home. I was like every other entertainer in New York that has gone through this. So please, if you know entertainers, have a big heart for them. All right. We have really suffered the most. So one of the things that started happening from this, I burst out creatively. Suddenly now I'm writing songs on top of everything else. And I started doing these parodies. So what I would like to do for you is a piece I wrote after the song that Soft Cell did called Tainted Love. I call this Tainted Glove. Sometimes I wish that I could disinfect. I wanna disinfect with a can of Lysol spray all over you right there, with that virus in your hair, and it lives for 3 days there. Would you like some Purell for your hands? Once I ran to you, now I run from you. That tainted glove you're using, oh my God, don't touch me if you dare. Tainted glove, whoa, tainted glove. Don't touch me, please. I cannot stand it if you sneeze. So since then, I've written probably 6 or 7 parodies. I'm doing more and more interviewing, more and more hosting, and I have completely reinvented myself. And I have to be honest, if it hadn't been for COVID-19, none of this would have happened. And one of the best things that happened to me, I went on Facebook and I told my story. From soup to nuts, I got over 400 hits. People reached out, they texted, they called when they could, they put things in the comments, and I answered every single person. Because you know what I realized? If I could reinvent myself the way I did, if I could reach out and touch people out there, I could make a difference in something that's so tragic. Because, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, we are all in this together. Thank you.